Hello, I'm Marketing Mark, and welcome to Coming Soon with Marketing Mark, the show that looks at any type of movie marketing, whether it be fast food commercials, trailers, or any way to tie in with the movie whatsoever. Now let's look at Warner Brothers Animation. You see, back in the 90s, to compete with Disney, Warner Brothers either made their own animated films or they distributed other animated films. Unfortunately, with the exception of Space Jam and the Pokemon movies, they failed at the box office and actually shut down in 2003 after Looney Tunes flopped financially. But why is this? What drove people from taking their kids to see these movies? Could have been the marketing? Well, let's take a look. First, let's look at one of their most important films, Quest for Camelot. Now, while this wasn't the first movie they ever made, it was one of their most significant because it was supposed to be a darker and more adult animated feature, yet was turned into a Disney-fied romp thanks to studio control. Because of this, many of the animators hated working on the thing, including Lauren Foss, and they thought it would flop, and they were right, as it grossed $22 million on a budget that was reported to be around $50 to $100 million. But what caused this movie to flop? Could it have been the marketing? Well, the trailer wasn't very good. I mean, for most of the trailer, they just used Steve Perry's I Stand Alone cover in the background.
I know the sound of each rock and stone.
But sometimes they used action scenes in the trailer, and as a result, sometimes the music doesn't really sync up with the scenes.
You will not to roam in this forgotten place.
It's taken Excalibur!
Just the likes of me.
Arthur and his kingdom will be mine.
Apparently, the director was also in control of the marketing.
Help me to let go. Every mother's prayer. Every child knows.
But it wasn't just the trailer that was bad. Some of the TV spots also fell a little flat because in some spots they had Garrett's line, "Let's go," synced up with a scene where he obviously wasn't talking, and as a result it looked kind of off.
Come on, let's go! Let's go!
I mean, I know that's not the only time it's happened. But I don't know, I've never really liked that marketing tactic. Something about it just comes off as creepy and off to me. I don't know why, but it does. Not the only time the TV spots fell a little flat, though. There was also this TV spot where they decided to be funny by having the Looney Tunes act as movie critics. The problem with this is that, well, the dubbing is terrible.
They love the adventure.
And the microphone feels awkwardly placed. I know what they're going for, that it's an interviewer interviewing them about the movie, but still, it looks kind of weird. And before you say that, well, they had to use the Looney Tunes, no actual critic liked the movie, that's not actually true. It got a 35% on Rotten Tomatoes, and they actually had another TV spot using Pat Collins' review.
Absolutely magical. A family event with enchanting characters and songs.
So some critics liked it, but the trailers and TV spots weren't the only awkward things about its advertising. Now, as we all know, sometimes when a company tries to promote a movie, they will tie in the movie with a fast food company. Now, to promote Quest for Camelot, they had a tie-in with Wendy's and also had a commercial with them, and needless to say, the commercial wasn't very good. First off, the concept is stupid. The concept of the commercial is pretty much a group of kids try to get Dave Thomas to get them to see Quest for Camelot. What I have to wonder is, why didn't they ask their parents? I mean, sure, it would be cool to have a celebrity take you to see the movie, but you'd think they'd instinctively ask their parents. And before you say they refused to take them, let me remind you this takes place in Quest for Camelot Adland, where everybody wants to see Quest for Camelot, and it has been proven to be the best movie of all time. I doubt they didn't want to go. Plus, this commercial suffers from bad child acting. For example, this girl mugs like hell and can't seem to help but bug her eyes out all the time, and this little girl has absolutely no facial expression whatsoever. Seriously, she's like a Black Lorraine Newman. Plus, I think this commercial revealed one of the reasons why this movie failed at the box office.
Plus a ticket that lets one adult in at the kid's price.
Studio. You do realize that if you do not have people pay the amount of money they usually would, you won't get the money you usually would because they would be playing less, and therefore the movie wouldn't be getting as much money as it usually would, and therefore you wouldn't get as much money as you usually would.
Freaking idiot.
But let's go back to the bad acting in Quest for Camelot promos. You see, this wasn't the only time Quest for Camelot commercials had bad acting. Now, to appeal to the kids, probably Devon and Cornwall were featured heavily in the advertising, and as a result, the executives at Warner Brothers decided to have them host Kids WB for a Saturday. But because Don Rickles and Eric Idle were too good for this shit, they were replaced by Maurice LaMarche and Jeff Bennett. Now, while Jeff does a decent job, Maurice LaMarche is at his worst in this commercial.
Well, Devon, maybe he means your breath.
I can practically see the bottle of booze that's lying right next to him. Not the only problem with the commercial, though. There's also a lot of bad dubbing, plus there's a lot of cutting in the animation.
Bad? Cornwall, does he mean us?
Seriously, it's kind of unwatchable. Let's also look at its VHS. Now on the VHS, the title is simply Quest for Camelot, that's what it was named on the promos and other ads, and that's what many people call it. But in the movie itself, they title it as The Magic Sword Quest for Camelot. So what is it? Quest for Camelot? Or The Magic Sword Quest for Camelot? Seriously, way to confuse your audience, guys. Now let's look at the other movies that try to cash in on Disney's success. Though Quest for Camelot was the only movie to actually have been made by Warner Brothers, they did distribute The Swan Princess, Thumbelina, and The Keen Eye, all of which try to cash in on Disney's success by stealing many elements from animated Disney movies. But not only did they steal cliches that Disney has always had, but they also used similar marketing tactics. What do I mean? Well, remember Disney's sing-along tapes? Well, The Swan Princess and Quest for Camelot also had sing-along tapes. Also, remember how Disney had singers do covers of this song to promote the movie? Well, The Swan Princess, Thumbelina, and Quest for Camelot all did the same thing.
For longer than forever.
Let me be your wings.
Here in the night, I see the sun. Here in the dark, our two hearts are one.
No, they're not stealing from Disney at all. Though, to be fair, 20th Century Fox and MGM did do the same thing.
Heart, don't fail me now. Courage, don't desert me. Now and forever, as sure as the snow.
Now, if you're wondering why I didn't put up most of these covers music videos, it's because they don't have any. I don't know why. I mean, sure, Barry Manilow and Deborah Bird don't make music videos, but Jeffrey Osborne and Regina Bell do. What's even weirder is that Dreams Come True actually made a music video for the same movie. So let me get this straight. You won't give the rights to the film for a music video for a cover from the soundtrack, but you will give the rights to a song that has nothing on the soundtrack. Okay. Now, if you're wondering why The Keen Eye doesn't have someone doing a cover of the song for the soundtrack, well, they would have, but they're too cheap to do so, so they just bought the rights to Barbra Streisand's I Have Dreamed cover because it sounds like a Disney cover. But if there is one shameless way they did try to cash in on Disney's success, it's, well, in Six Flags from 1998 to 2000, they actually had a Quest for Camelot show there. So they had an attraction based on one of their movies that they tried to do to cash in on Disney's success at one of their theme parks. Yeah, this isn't trying to cash in on Disney at all. Another way they shamelessly tried to cash in on Disney, though, was, well, look at the Swan Princess's trailer.
As children, Prince Derek and Princess Odette weren't exactly the best of friends.
For over 50 years, Walt Disney has turned classic stories into classic animated motion pictures. Now the tradition continues with the story of the Little Mermaid who dreamed of becoming human.
Again, not trying to cash in on Disney whatsoever. Now let's look at Thumbelina's VHS. You see, to promote Thumbelina, they had a tie-in with Hooked on Phonics, and as a result, a Hooked on Phonics commercial appears on its VHS tape. Now, it seems that there are 2 Hooked on Phonics commercials, and in both of them, Carol Channing Mouse appears at the end. Now, in the first commercial, her character says a lovely story.
Call 1-800-ABCDEFG.
A lovely story.
But in the other commercial, they just use the clip without any audio for absolutely no reason.
Call 1-800-ABCDEFG. Thumbelina, now at theaters.
Seriously, what's the point of that clip? Why couldn't they just stick with the first commercial? Most forced-in clip ever, if you ask me. Now, let's look at the Keenan Ives TV spots. Some of them started and ended very awkwardly.
Getting to know you.
Of the King and I.
Seriously, how would you like it if my show started off like this? Hello and welcome to Coming Soon with Marketing Mark. And how would you like it if it ended like this? And that was Coming Soon with Marketing Mark. You wouldn't like that, would you? It would look very awkward, wouldn't it? However, the trailer also wasn't very good because, instead of giving us what the plot would be, or at least a little indication of it, they just listed off plot points and left it at that.
In a land far, far away, he was the king, and his word was law. Now, a woman with a mind of her own.
I won't have soldiers at my door.
You will stand here and meet royal children.
Will open his eyes to a changing world where a trusted friend plots betrayal. A servant girl will find her strength. A prince will defy his father.
Servant girl and prince forbidden.
And a king will discover the true power of friendship.
The movie's VHS trailer also wasn't very good. It was too pretentious for me. Why? Well, they tried too hard to make people like it by saying it was going to be the next biggest thing and that it will be cherished in your family forever.
Join us for the motion picture event of 1999. The animated spectacular for the entire family. The King and I, the musical masterpiece, is about to become an animated classic.
Look, I know they're just trying to sell the movie to people, but there are better ways to do that than guessing its future. Now, back to the way they use logos. This isn't the only time the logo looked awkward. There was also this Thumbelina TV spot which began with the pause logo, which looked very awkward and came off as kinda creepy. That voice doesn't help. I mean, I'm an adult and I find that to be creepy, so you know it's creepy. In fact, just in general, the pause Warner Bros. Logo looks kinda awkward.
On May 15th.
But let's talk about its VHS. In its VHS opening, not kidding here, they had a commercial for a Tweety and Sylvester picture frame. Yeah, they thought that was something that needed a commercial. But in the commercial, the ending felt really rushed, at least the editing did. Don't you love how they cut mid-sentence?